chain when I pass in the street. Bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson in for the Sports Arena. And as we know, free agency is upon us. So much to talk about. So many moves have happened. I got to get the thoughts of those that I truly admire when it comes to just their perspective on things. So this guy, I had the pleasure of hanging out with him in New Orleans at the Super Bowl. We had some fun. We kicked it back, went to the media party, had a good time. He got to meet some people, actually more people than I got to meet. I'm a little jealous because he was there the full week. But my man Playmaker is in the building. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. Hey, that Super Bowl week doesn't happen if you don't have a credential for me.
Yeah, man. I'm just thankful that you was able to join me, brother. It was honored and blessed, man. Sorry about the jet lag, but you now big time now. Now you can roll anywhere with anybody, so you already know how it is.
It's amazing now when you don't know that people actually watching you until you get to Super Bowl weekend. You figure out, oh, there's people that actually know me.
Yeah, for real talk. All right, man. Free agency is upon us, and once I saw this particular signing happen, I had to get you in the building. Because now Davante Adams is a Los Angeles Ram. My man, and I see the hat right there. Look at you sporting it, the Los Angeles Ram, because that is your team, Ramsley Football. Make sure you check this brother out on all his social media. My man, when the news came down, talk to me about what you heard and more importantly, what you felt.
So I've been talking about this for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because as soon as Davante Adams said he want to go back to the West Coast, I'm like, well, Rams number one on that list. Yeah, Chargers on that list, 49ers on that list, but the Rams number one on that list. And it was coming out the hills of saying they trying to trade Cooper Kupp. Looks like he probably gonna get released. And it's like nobody don't want Davante Adams in LA. That's like the worst thing that can happen in the NFC.
So why is that the worst thing?
Because Mr. Super Bowl champion, who was the only team that pushed the Super Bowl champions to the limit?
In the postseason, yes, that conversation has been had, and I will agree. Mother Nature did us a favor because I will say this, the Rams that day, across the board, with the exception of, I'll say, our defense, the Rams were the better offensive team that day. Mother Nature did us a favor because, y'all don't play well in the snow. So we got to have some fun at y'all's expense.
So now you gonna drop Davante Adams into that offense?
But you potentially might be letting go of your other weapon in Cooper Kupp.
That's just a replacement.
So you're saying, okay, so bring one in to replace the other. Do you think, because I wanted to ask you this, which is why I had you here on the Sports Arena today. Do you think they would find a way to keep Cooper? Because then now you've got Davante, Cooper, and Puka.
That thought has crossed my mind.
Okay.
But the way that the Rams run their organization, right? They would not ask Cooper Kupp to restructure the contract. They have not asked Cooper Kupp to restructure the contract. Even though it's not known. Everybody loves Puka Nacua in that organization. Everybody loves Cooper Kupp in that organization. They will do what's best for the player and the team. So instead of asking Cooper Kupp to restructure, can we send you to a team that's still contending? That way, you're just not going anywhere. You're still going to be in a place that you can still compete for playoffs, Super Bowls.
Interesting.
But for the financial piece for the Rams right now, your contract doesn't fit.
Do you think, and I know this is crazy, but we've seen it happen. I mean, we'll say it happened just as easy as this past season. Do you think you could see Cooper Kupp within your division, maybe to the 49ers?
The only way I see that is if he gets released.
Okay.
If he gets released, I don't think we're gonna trade him within the division.
I don't think so either. But I mean, we didn't think Saquon was going to come to Philadelphia and have the year that he had. So that's why I got to at least throw it out there and ask the question.
That's why I say
Because
if he's released, because Saquon was released.
No, I know.
He wasn't
I got
traded.
you.
He was released.
I get it. I got it. I have to ask. All right. So
thanks to the Giants. That way, no NFL team wants to do Hard Knocks anymore.
Thank you to the New York Giants yet again. All right. So talk to me about the impact that he makes for your team, specifically Davante Adams, what he makes for your team this year, bringing him in.
Pick your poison. Who you want to double? You want to double Buka or you want to double Davante Adams? Because both of them can run the route tree like anybody.
Okay.
And then let's not forget we did re-sign Tutu Atwell to a 1-year, $10 million deal.
Yeah.
So guess what? We want to take the top off of the defense. We got Tutu Atwell and we have Jordan Williamson from Texas. Pick your poison. And then Tyler Higbee, he's going to be fully back now. Now that he's going to get a full offseason to actually work with the team again, instead of coming off that ACL injury like he did last year. You still got Kyren Williams in the backfield.
Yeah. And that was this is why I love talking to you, because you know exactly where my mind is going, having him back there as well. Okay. All right. Is your offensive line sustainable for this season to allow Stafford and all the weapons that you mentioned get themselves back to where they were last year?
We got to see what we do for us to guard. I know we sent Jonah Jackson to Chicago, which Chicago definitely needed. So, but depending on how we addressed it, for the most part, the offensive line was great last year.
Okay. All right.
The offensive line was great, so I really don't have too much concerns. But we still got to fill the holes and stuff, but I'm not too much concerns.
All right. So let's move on to my next question that I got to ask you, because with Davante now with the Rams and Matthew Stafford restructuring his contract to stay with Los Angeles, where does Davante's buddy? Where do you think Aaron Rodgers lands?
That depends on Aaron Rodgers. Do you want to compete, Aaron Rodgers, or do you just want your money? That depends on you, Aaron Rodgers. Because if you want to compete, Pittsburgh, especially with the fact that they just acquired DK Metcalf from Seattle.
Yeah.
All right. Now the question with that is, are you willing to just be a quarterback?
Hold on. What do you mean just be a quarterback? Talk to me about that.
All that other stuff on the outside?
Oh, okay. All right.
We don't need that. Don't need that.
Then Pittsburgh's not the place for him then. We know that.
Because Mike Tomlin is a proven coach. So I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers should have respect for Mike Tomlin.
Yes, I agree. And that won't be his team to control. That is a J.J. Watt locker room. That is a Pat Freiermuth locker room. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if meaning Aaron Rodgers, can just come in and everybody just essentially, as we like to say in the wrestling world, bow down to the higher power, if you will.
That is a Cam Hayward locker room.
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes. All right.
Or do you want your money and struggle by staying in New Jersey and just put on blue, putting on blue instead of green for the Giants?
Listen, if he decides to make that decision, he is signing his retirement papers. I'm gonna tell you that right now. If Aaron Rodgers makes the decision to stay in New York, in New Jersey, and play for the Giants as opposed to playing for the Jets, he is signing his retirement papers, because between the defenses that exist within the division, Washington, Dallas, and the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, he don't want none of that. He don't want that smoke. I'm going to tell you that right now, because you getting it 6 times a year.
Those was his only options right now. You thought it was Vegas, but they went inside to get Geno Smith. Seattle, they probably looking to go young.
Man, why you stay in the moment, bro? We getting to that. Why you keep going through my rundown like that, bro? Just spoiling it for the people. We getting to Geno, but go ahead.
Just saying, what options does he have out there?
What about
Aaron Rodgers? Don't have options.
What about Atlanta? What do you mean doesn't have options? We can go to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins is on the move.
They're going.
You don't think Minnesota would take him for a year?
Atlanta is going to Michael Penix Jr. Okay, that's the reason why that's why they're going away from Kirk Cousins.
But if you have an option to get an Aaron Rodgers, you mean to tell me for 1 year you wouldn't do that in that Atlanta's division with the NFC South?
Atlanta's not doing that.
Okay,
we're talking about the Falcons here. Minnesota, they're going to JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy. What if he could sit behind Aaron for 1 year and fully rehab?
And that's himself bring back Sam Darnold.
No, Sam going somewhere else.
No, but I'm saying if you're gonna do that, bring back Sam Darnold.
I'm gonna talk to the Queen of Hoop about that a little bit later on. But all right, since you brought him up, let's talk about it because Geno is back with Pete Carroll and the Raiders.
And fully discussed, I did not see that coming. That was not on my bingo card.
It wasn't on mine. It was not on my fantasy football checklist bucket. That was not on my checkerboard. I'm telling you right now, I did not see that one. But here we are. Geno to the Raiders.
Which means this is crazy. Now, that's their quarterback for the now.
Yeah.
I want y'all to know that. Quarterback for the now. It's not a quarterback for the future.
Yes.
Now
but they have the number, what do they have? The number 6 or number 7 draft pick?
I think it's 7th. The 7th.
Yeah.
Pick.
No, 6 is I think the Jets are somewhere in there too. But give me your thoughts and I'll pull it real quick.
It's an interesting move. I mean, it's better than the quarterback that you had last year. I give you that.
Well, look, Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. I mean, come on.
Yes. So that's
the Raiders have the 6th pick.
The 6th pick
in the first round.
With that, for them to do that, they probably don't think that they can make a move into the top 3-4 to get one of the quarterbacks that's projected to be the first couple of quarterbacks in Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
Now, you could draft a quarterback in the later of the round, 2nd round, 3rd round, because there's more quarterbacks out there. Depending on how they view these quarterbacks, like a Jackson Dart or Will Howard from Ohio State.
I don't think Will. Listen, man, I saw Will at the combine, man, and honest to God, in my opinion, just my eye test, he did not look like a first rounder to me. I was more interested in Jackson Dart. And the name that I've been talking about, hold on, I'm glad you brought that up because I still got all my combine notes. Bro,
how was the combine?
Combine was awesome, bro. You gonna be there. We're gonna get you there in Indy next year, man. So you can truly get the true vision. But the kid out of where is he? Here, the kid out of Memphis, Seth Hennigan. Whoever gets that young man is going to be pleasantly surprised and very thankful that they did.
You know, it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see, but they got the quarterback for now. They're gonna drop the quarterback with one of their other picks. They can go probably fill a need with their 1st round pick.
Right.
Somebody. And then later on, drop the quarterback, have them sit on the Geno, learn the offense, stuff like that. Get playing time whenever they can get him playing time, stuff like that. But the Raiders, though, Raider Nation do not feel like y'all gonna be in the hunt for the playoffs. This is because you got Geno Smith.
I mean, but Geno and Pete Carroll, they've been together and they've had some success. Who's to say that now adding, with Max Crosby on that defensive side, you find some maybe young weapons to bring in? Who's to say that they couldn't at least contend for a wild card spot? I mean, because you look at that division. Listen, we know Kansas City's up here. The Chargers are, I don't know what the Chargers are, but they are a fill-in-the-blank piece away. Denver will get better with Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
That's the 3 teams in the division right there. Only one can win it.
One can win, but we've seen 2 teams from that same division get into the postseason.
Yeah,
we've seen it happen before.
Yeah, you mentioned the other 2, the Chargers and the Broncos.
Okay. I'm saying the Raiders, if they got some young talent and that defense could stand up on people, there could be some games. And when the schedule comes out, I definitely want to get with you and look at specifically the Raiders schedule to say there might be some games in there that we look at and we're like, possibly they could win. And if they could find a way to sneak in at maybe that 7th wild card spot, we could be talking about the Raiders come next January. We could be. Granted, they got to go through Kansas City. They got to go through Denver. They got to go through the Chargers. I recognize that. But if their strength of schedule outside of that is favorable to them, man, they could win some games that we could be sitting here talking about them and saying, are they a dark horse?
You do got that division in the AFC North too, so.
Oh, and they all just beat up on each other. Okay, we know that. AFC North is like the NFC East. Those 8 teams just beat up on each other the whole entire time.
And teams that are known for having more than one team come out of the division is the AFC North.
Okay. There's still, I'm saying to you, there's still that 7th spot.
Well, what I'm saying with the Raiders, they have a lot of teams to overcome to get into a wild card spot.
Yeah. But if they do overcome it, we might
if
be
they
talking
overcome
about
it, go good to them. And Pete Carroll showed he can still do it at this level.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother, man, thank you for jumping on with me. I really appreciate you. Much love. Hey, again, I'm going to give you the floor. Let the people know where they can find you at, brother.
Down there, Playmaker Silence on Facebook. You can catch everything I do on the Playmakers Bar Facebook channel, YouTube channel, X account, and our website, theplaymakersblog.com, where currently we are now in the madness of March. So every conference champion will be listed in our website. So be on the lookout for that.
My man, much love to you. I'm going to holler at you. Hey, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. I got the Queen of Hoop joining me, Miss Megan Price, talking more NFL free agency. You're watching the Sports Arena live on a Monday night. Be back in a moment.
Hi, my name is Tim Rose. I'm the president and COO of Dolphin Key Worldwide Transportation. Welcome to our new 25,000 square foot facility located in Miami, Florida. For over 25 years, Dolphin Key Transportation has been the choice for discerning travelers who use our services on the East Coast of Florida as well as the West Coast of Florida, and we look forward to servicing you.
Welcome back into the Sports Arena. Man, Eric Wilson. Huge shout out to the Playmaker for joining me. But like I said before I went to break, the Queen of Hoop is in the building. She's taking time out of her covering women's basketball on the college level. Megan Price is back with us. Meg, what's good? How are you?
I'm doing really well. So I'm not back from my trip yet, but like today's my travel day. So I definitely wanted to get in and be able to talk some NFL, free agency news, trade news. We've had, I think everybody's ESPN notifications were going off crazy all weekend. And I was expecting basketball news. No, it's NFL just blowing it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, free agency started, today. And so things are happening. But I wanted to talk to you about a couple of the situations that we saw. The first one being, okay, Megan, I got to ask you on this one right here. Because for all intents and purposes, this guy, Myles Garrett, made it very clear he wanted out of Cleveland. He wanted to go play for a championship team, and now he gets one of the biggest contracts, of course, for his position, and he's staying in Cleveland. What the hell was this?
This one made me laugh a lot because it was like they had to hit him with the highest paid non-QB contract of all time for him to actually stay in Cleveland. And the vibe that I actually got was not even that he cared about. I mean, of course, obviously he wants to win. Every single person that is a professional athlete has the desire to win. So not to say that that isn't there, but I think he just desperately wanted out of Cleveland. So to resign there, it definitely gave me a tickle. It was like, hey, 159, not quite enough, but you hit me with 160 million and I'm the highest paid non-QB contract of all time. All right, I guess I'll stay. It gave me a little tickle.
It's amazing how $1 million will change a person's thought process. But again, it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so my question to you is this. Do you feel like one of the reasons he potentially may have stayed would have been because ownership and the head coaches sat down with him and actually explained to him what their game plan was? or was it just truly about getting his money?
I think that both had to play a factor there. I think he was so fed up with Cleveland that they had to come with more than just money. So whatever they sold to him was not just the money. Like, because I think we know the caliber player of Miles Garrett. He is a difference maker. Him, T.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, same conversation. So a same type of player, and you get that not only on the field but off the field as well. I'm not the person that judges him on what happened with the Pittsburgh situation. I personally feel like he was antagonized. So I think that he's somebody that is very reputable. I think he's very professional. I think he's a nice person. And they really had to come with more than the BS, excuse my language, but the bull that they had been doing this last year, and a couple of years since they had decided to go in the direction of Deshaun Watson. Because you let go of your franchise quarterback guy, you let go of Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield is having success. Not only did he have success in LA playing in the playoffs for them, he also had success now over in Tampa Bay. And he's not, don't get me wrong, he's not your elite QB, but he is a culture guy. He is somebody that not only the fans love, but the locker room loves as well. I mean, he's a great game manager. He's not going to be your sharpest throwing guy out there, but he is a culture guy. He is going to bring a lot there. So you let go of your guy that loved being in Cleveland. Him and his wife, they did a lot for the community there. They loved being in Cleveland and they felt betrayed. At the time, it was still kind of questionable on what Deshaun's talent level was going to be. Like, was it worth it? And clearly, obviously it was not worth it, but hindsight's 2020. You don't know at the time. But I know we were all personally probably saying that it is a dumpster fire bringing on Deshaun Watson with everything that he had going on off the field. So whatever they sold to Miles, it's got to be more than the money.
Okay, so my quick question to end this segment before we move on to the next one is, with the number 2 pick in this year's upcoming draft, who does the Cleveland Browns select?
I think that they are actually going to have to be pursuing a veteran quarterback. I don't think that they go for a quarterback with this pick. I expect them to go for the highest available non-QB player. And I don't exactly have the names on that just yet, but I would say that they should probably go for somebody on their offensive line. There's a lot to be done on the offensive side of things. I think as long as you have Miles on the defensive side of things, you can get what he needs on that side of the ball later in the draft. Right now, you got to focus on offense, but it's got to be a non-QB because I'm not sold on anybody in this QB class as being a franchise quarterback. So why waste that pick on that when you can get a franchise guy and an offensive lineman? You can get a really great running back out of this draft. Now, I know 2 is really high for a running back, but if it is a franchise player, then it's worth it.
You know, at one time, a certain running back did go number 2 in the draft, and we see years later how he has produced, not only potentially breaking records, but also winning a championship in Saquon Barkley. So I like that correlation, Megan. I could potentially see that. But let's move on, because you were talking about Pittsburgh, and speaking of them, now Myles Garrett potentially has to face this guy twice a year in DK Metcalf leaving Seattle and coming to Pittsburgh. Normally, we see the opposite. We see wide receivers being born and bred in Pittsburgh and then going other places. This is a little bit of the opposite. So when you saw this happen, what were your thoughts about DK now coming to Pittsburgh?
This was interesting. So this one actually ties in with a couple of different other free agency moves as well, or trades. So we heard last week that DK wanted out of Seattle, and I don't think any of us were really surprised. And before we could figure out where DK goes, Geno gets traded to Vegas. And so
Yes.
we knew that they're hitting the point of total rebuild over there in Seattle. And I'm not mad at that. I think that once Pete Carroll moved on, once your franchise players moved on, that's where you got to start. You got to start at the very bottom. And I'm personally, I can kind of understand that because my own team is really close to that. So, once they move on from their quarterback, their franchise guy, we will be in total rebuild as well. So I was shocked by the Geno move. I love the fit of Geno there in Seattle. Now he didn't have a good season this last year, so I can understand it. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. He's such a likable guy, and he gave you a really great season, a really couple of great seasons, and then he had a slow one. So
Right.
he's aging, and you just kind of have to realize that about him. Like he's that aging quarterback. You're not going to get he's fine in Vegas. You know what I mean? Like you're just not going to get your franchise guy out of
Are
this.
you sure he's fine in Vegas? Because we've seen guys go to Vegas and things not really go their way. So I'm just, are you sure he's okay?
He's Vegas isn't going to pull a superstar, is what I'm saying. And
Okay.
so it's fine to pull Gino because Gino's not a superstar. Like they're not ready to pull a superstar. Now, I do think that having Tom Brady on the ownership group there in Vegas is going to prove incredibly profitable, and they're going to be successful from that move. Like he's going to bring a good quarterback. He's going to bring a good coach. It's going to happen. It didn't happen this year, so they had to do what they could with what they had, and that's getting Geno Smith. Now DK going to Pittsburgh. I love this move. And I Pittsburgh is another team that needs to prove it. We've seen them do mediocrity very well for about a decade. They need
How
to
can
get over up.
okay? I love this conversation, but I always get into people when they say when they put the word mediocrity with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got 18 winning seasons.
Right,
How do you
because
put that in mediocrity?
come at about a 60% win percentage, right? So almost half of the time you're losing. You're just barely in a winning season. It's not like I said, it doesn't stand out. It doesn't get you postseason success, correct?
But okay, all right. I just listen. Yeah, you know me. I'm a Philly guy till I die. But I'm
They're
gonna tell you right now.
locking in on 9 and 8 seasons ever since we went to 17. And that's what keeps them at a winning season is that you can't finish right at 500 because before that they were doing 8 and 8.
All right, we gonna tail that conversation for another time because the focus right now is on DK and the impact he has with the Steelers. But I'm telling you, I'm fitting to have that conversation with a lot of y'all about the success of Pittsburgh almost 2 decades in, continually having winning seasons under one head coach, making the playoffs, and yes, having some areas of opportunity to advance. But you find me another team, not named the New England Patriots, who has had 18 consecutive winning seasons
Well, okay,
under
so
one head coach.
but you know how critical you are of First Cousins and Minnesota and the mediocrity that they were doing. Pittsburgh putting up similar numbers.
But it's okay. All right. Anyhow, I'm gonna get back to this, but we going. I'm telling you, when I'm calling you and a bunch of people to the front of the congregation when we have that conversation, I'm gonna tailor it for now because you ain't got a lot of time, and I appreciate you being on the sports arena. DK's impacted Pittsburgh. What does it mean?
So that can't be answered quite yet until they answer the question of who is their quarterback going to be. We've heard them in conversations with Aaron Rodgers, possibly. And I hate that move, but we're not talking about that one. Now, there's another one that's on our marquee that we're going to be talking about. And I had been wanting to see this matchup for a little bit now. And I thought it was going to happen in Seattle. And Seattle's still a player in this factor, but so is Pittsburgh. Sam Darnold and DK Metcalf would be an excellent combination right there. So
Okay.
Pittsburgh is interested in Sam Darnold, but it's looking like Seattle has the money that he's looking for. He's looking for Matt Stafford type of money, so $40 million a year. Currently, we're hearing that Seattle is interested in paying him a 3-year contract for $40 million a year. I think that Sam has proven himself there in Minnesota, and I really
Under
would
1 year.
I do, because here's the thing: San Francisco knew what they had with Sam Darnold. They wanted to keep him. They couldn't afford to keep him and keep everybody that they have on payroll now, and so they had to let Sam Darnold go. But they did not. San Francisco did not want to let Sam Darnold go, and then he went to Minnesota. And don't get me wrong, it didn't end well for them. Not in the postseason and in the regular season. In those last 2 weeks, it was rough. but I think that he put up enough that market value, 40 mil is understandable.
That's Daniel Jones money, though. That's Daniel Jones' fault, okay? Because when
You're
Daniel Jones got that contract, I was like, you're paying this guy as opposed to paying Saquon.
right.
You're paying this guy for one season, $40 million a year. So now, yes, he reset the market value.
By that type of decision from either team in that stadium, the Jets or the Giants make those type of bonehead payroll decisions repeatedly. Now, Sam Darnold, though, I mean, and you're right. Daniel Jones had one good season and then got paid, and Sam Darnold has had one good season. So it's a gamble. It is certainly a gamble, and definitely acknowledge that. I do think that I see more out of Sam Darnold than I do out of Daniel Jones, though.
Okay, I'll agree with you.
Over in New York, Saquon was touching the ball still while Daniel Jones was doing well. Saquon was touching the ball 75% of the time. So it's not like Daniel Jones was really having that great of a year, whereas Sam Darnold put up top 5 numbers this year. There's a difference.
I just don't feel that 1 year for a quarterback who at one time was scared of his own shadow
Right.
under the New York Jets system. He then sat behind Brock Purdy, learned from Kyle Shanahan, learned from that organization. They saw potential in him, but like you said, unfortunately, it is a business and they couldn't keep him.
Right.
He goes to Minnesota under Coach O'Connell, who is like the quarterback whisperer.
Right.
And this man, because J.J. McCarthy was injured, because Sam Darnold was supposed to be a backup, okay?
Correct.
But J.J. McCarthy went out, in comes Sam Darnold, and yes, to his credit, has an amazing year, you minus the postseason and the last 2 weeks, okay?
Right.
I recognize all of that. Does all of that translate into this young man getting $40 million a year? No, it does not.
You know why it does,
Matthew
though?
Stafford has a resume to say he can get. He has a Super Bowl ring to his credit.
But do you know
Can
why?
say,
You know why it equates to that? Because there is a QB shortage in this league. And we were just talking about the QB draft class is piss poor this year. It's not full of franchise guys. It's full of QB2s and QB3s at best. And so if
Okay.
you
I'm
need
gonna give you some names when you're done that I want you to pay attention to in this year's draft as they move forward. Not named Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I'm gonna give you a couple, but go ahead, finish your thought, please.
and they certainly may end up being a QB1, but it's out of desperation. It's not off of. It's, in my opinion, this is not the QB draft class that's going to be Hall of Fame or franchise guys. It's not that.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you some names that I definitely want you to pay attention to because I was in Indy, which Megan, I'm gonna tell you this, like I tell everybody, you being the individual that you are, knowing talent like you know talent on the basketball level and also the items of the football level, you have got to get to Indy because I've been in Lucas Oil now 3 times and I've seen the talent. And when I tell you, I'm gonna tell you some names. So I got my list because I knew you was gonna bring it up. I got my list right here from Saturday.
Love it.
Jackson Hart from Mississippi
Okay.
made a name for himself at the combine. Another young man who is left-handed, by the way. Shout out to all my left-handers in the building. Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon.
Okay.
Another guy who people may not take a flyer on because he's left-handed. But I'm telling you, his precision, his accuracy, and what he's able to do is going to be something that he gets in the right team with the right coach, right coordinator, the whole 9 yards. We're going to be talking about him. The last name, and this is a young man who I feel is very underrated, who is going under the radar. I don't expect him to go until maybe late day 2 or sometime in day 3. Seth Hennigan from Memphis.
Okay.
This is a man I think is undervalued, and I feel as though, again, right system, right coach, right offensive line. I think those 3 guys, again, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, we know that they are going to go top. We know that they are going to have their name put up there, and people are going to expect immediate results. But those other 3 gentlemen, give it time. Let us see what they're capable of. But I don't think it is as piss poor as you were saying.
Okay.
I can see where you're coming from,
I
but
mean,
I'm
and
telling you,
with the bigger name than that, because
right.
I'm not sold on Shador being a starter. I'm not sold on Cam being a starter. And they will certainly be thrown in situations where they are immediate starters, and we've seen how that's not successful. And so I actually prefer to get my QBs in later rounds like that. Like I think Dak was a steal where we got him. And he produced for a period of time. For where we got him, that was
Until he got injured, let's call
right.
it what it is. Until he got injured, Dak Prescott was a top tier quarterback. That
Especially-
injury provided setback, and then yeah, for the 4th round, yes.
And we see it can happen. Brock Purdy, literally the last draft pick, and we see the type of talent that he is. I do think he's in a favorable situation, but that wasn't his decision. Like they're the ones that drafted him. And then we've seen Tom be incredibly successful in a last round pick. So you can get your guys like that, and I prefer that. So I hope that they are able to be successful. I just know that the superstars on the QB side in this draft class, I'm not sold on.
Okay. Fair enough. Megan, hey, safe travels. Thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. I really appreciate you. Much love. You know March Madness, as you are already covering it with women's basketball on the college level. I mean, listen, if you make your way to Tampa for the women's Final Four, holla at your boy, because you know I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yeah,
and then, of course, it's going to be, well, your favorite time of the year, my 1B favorite time of the year. It is going to be the WNBA. But you and I need to have a more serious conversation because of what the Unrivaled League did and what the W needs to do.
No, and those are the big topics right now. So can't wait to have that conversation with you because I got a ton to say.
Oh, I'm sure you do. That is, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's not going to be a 20-minute conversation with the Queen of Hoop and your man, Eric Wilson. We going in depth on that one. But hey, stay blessed, Megan. I will holler at you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Of course. Thanks.